Yeah, baby. Yeah. The Mac is back. Back with another video. Hello, the initiated. My name is Marcus Unicla, and today we're having a look at a new Fracture Sounds release. And this one is called Moonlight Celeste. I don't actually know how Celeste is pronounced for sure. That's my take on it. Please do correct me. Interesting addition to their lineup. The Celeste is kind of like a staple supplementary instrument in the orchestral cinematic lineup, so definitely a welcome addition, and certainly by Fracture Sounds because, well, they do a lot of things the right way, in my estimation. But to read a bit more about this, I have this kind of one sheet that I got. So this one is captured in the same concert hall as Spotlight Piano, Glacier Keys, and Midnight Grand. And this one also has atmosphere layers, apparently. They have something called a music box layer, which I really like. I love music boxes. They just sound fantastic. And then they also have lo-fi controls, which I think we saw last time in, was it Trails? I think so. So yeah, pretty wide set of controls here. They have the mic and layer mixer, which seems to be pretty typical. Have close mic, mid and far. And then regarding the response, apparently there's like an advanced velocity response graph, so you can really tune your the Celeste for your keyboard. This is always a welcome addition. I think still sort of under tapped. Sometimes some libraries don't really translate all that well, even if you have like a super good keyboard with a lot of like velocity resolution. So that's a welcome thing. And additional settings, there is sample start control, and then reducing the thump produced by the higher notes, which they call a clarity filter, and then extending also the range of the lower octave of the Celeste, which is really cool. That can really help a ton. This comes out presumably now when you're watching this, but 26th of March. Intro pricing in dollars and pounds and euros, 39. And I presume this is the full price after the intro, which is 59 in dollars, pounds, and euros. They also have a light bundle order, which ends on the 25th of April. This is the Celeste with the Spotlight Piano. I don't know if there's a typo here, because in dollars and euros it's 139, but in pounds it's 149, which is more expensive. So I'm guessing that's a typo, but not sure. Check it in your pound currency if you use that. And then full pricing, it goes the other way. So I'm guessing that's a typo. 228 in dollars and euros, and 208 in pounds here. So check the pounds. I don't know, that's probably a typo. But yeah, that's pretty much the basics of that. So let us close that one up and take ourselves to Studio One. Just gonna check everything is okay on the recording front. So interface, running the current and the new Fracture Sounds interface, which I love. Super clear, super clean. In terms of the pages here, you got main, then you have response, this is the excuse me, the velocity control stuff here. That's new, and that's interesting and welcome, I'm sure. And settings beyond that, sample start, clarity filter. Okay, so it's an on-off thing. Extended range. Yep, okay, yeah, so you get 2 octaves extra. That's pretty impressive. Room tone noise mode. Always on or host transport. Atmosphere decay mode, sustain infinitely or decay naturally. Cool. Okay, nice. Main page. Let's just play this how it comes out of the gate. And we should probably touch on some of the basics here. Yeah, Fracture Sounds did send me this copy, so first of all, thank you to them for doing so. That being said, as always, all opinions are my own, both in good and bad. I haven't been asked to say anything one way or the other, nor would I ever do that. In terms of what we'll be hearing today, it's only Moonlight Celeste in action. I don't add any EQ, compression, delay, reverb, nothing. This is the sound right out of the box. I have a limiter on my master bus to ensure that the level is consistent for this video, for your listening pleasure. If you hear any distortion, it's probably the limiter, and I'll probably let you know either way if it happens to be the library, which I heavily doubt, but I'll let you know. All right, I think that sort of covers the basics here. Let's try and get some sort of a level going first and just play the default sound. So yeah, there, as I sustain with the pedal, you can hear the atmosphere layers in action. So first impressions, again, super emotional. This is what the atmosphere layers do. By default, they can get a bit too dense to my taste if I was doing something like that, because they sustain there. So I'd just probably lower that or do it kind of on a separate track. But yeah, playability seems out of the box very nice. I feel like I can really dig into the dynamics very easily here, even without going to tweak the responses there. I'm actually let's turn off the atmosphere layers here and just listen to the raw sound. Again, there I can very easily get to those quiet notes. I don't have to go into the MIDI editor or anywhere else. I can just play it in there, even with my, potato fingers. The Celeste gets very, obviously, resonant in this zone. I don't think it's actually possible to get rid of all of that, nor would you want to, because then you probably wouldn't even recognize it to be this instrument. So really getting into the specifics of removing resonances that are too much for your piece really needs to be reserved for the EQ process. It gets tinny, gets resonant there, but a sample library can't cater to all musical combinations, so you would have to EQ that yourself anyway. But yeah, again, this zone here doesn't have any of those issues, which sometimes happens. Sometimes is the case that even the kind of the mid range here gets too resonant, but this is super nicely kind of sparsed out. I've just extended the low end out of curiosity to test that out. There's some kind of it just wouldn't ignite on some of these. Let me play a bit more. There's either a lag or in certain combinations it just didn't play at all. There, it didn't play that C sharp. That is the limiter. Let me let's pull back a bit. Yeah, there, this note doesn't trigger for some reason in all circumstances. It happened again. It doesn't capture the... I don't know what's happening there. On some instances, at least the lowest note here just doesn't seem to trigger. It can't be any kind of polyphony issue either. So yeah, it's some kind of occasional dropout there. First of all, I love this extended low end because it's something I've often with the Celeste kind of that has annoyed me. That, you know, you have a piece and then you'd want to have that extra bit of space, but it just can't deliver on that unless you pitch other notes there. But often that changes the sound, and what I like about this is that it sounds natural. It doesn't sound fabricated. It sounds like a natural extension of the instrument rather than being some weird pitched thingy-majingy. So really, really good job on that. Let's go through some of the controls here. I'll go with the color first. I'll pull it all the way down, so I suppose this will make it darker. Let me push back the level a bit. Very subtle difference here. It's subtle, but it's clearly noticeable. It kind of tames it down a bit. Takes those brighter edges and that sharper edge and kind of just tames it down. I really like it. It actually makes the general sound of it a lot more to my taste. I tend to find bells, all kind of glassy, resonant things, a bit too much. So anything that controls that is good in my books. If we max out the color, clearly much bigger of a difference. Again, in center, yeah, it just kind of pushes it. That's the limiter. I'm gonna try and find a good general level, and then all the way down. Yeah, it just kind of tames it down. Takes what's the word? Exerts a good bit of control on it. I like this a lot. This would probably be my preferred position for this. But it doesn't make it. This is not like it's not super apparent. Like I would have expected it to make this a lot darker. This is actually very mature control. At least, you know, towards the lower end, it's a more of a sophisticated, subtler control. Attack. Okay, this is interesting. So it's kind of like a... So just going all the way back with the attack, it becomes this, not pad-like, but it reminds me of one of these attack sustain pedals. Like maybe like a xylophone that swoops in. But it's interesting how going from this to the middle attack position kind of just tames the edge off. Kind of slightly rounds it, but it's still very recognizable. Yeah, just takes the transient off. Actually, might again prefer this middle position, even in general use, because a lot of the time the transient response in the Celeste is quite strong, and then it can be difficult to mix in with everything else, and especially if you have some like mix bus processing or stuff like that, you might have to go back into the mix to pull back on some of the Celeste transient material. So that's super good to have in there, and it's very nice that it's so subtle. And then if you want to do these kind of different, I need to push the level for this, but do like a very slow attack, this changes the instrument entirely. Kind of sounds like one of those glass playing machines, giving off that bit of that Potter vibe there. Release. Let's max it out. Again, really cool way of controlling that, and it has a different sound compared to the sustain pedal. Kind of something in between a reverb and a sustain pedal. Very nice, gives you a different atmosphere there. Key noise. Yeah, I would struggle to hear it at first in this, but there's clearly a difference, especially in the release portion. You can hear it there. Music box layer. So I wonder if I pull down the raw, can I just have the music box? Doesn't seem like it. So I wonder why it's implemented as a layer. I understand, like, it just adds that specific quality there. Like that tactile top end. But I would love to have that as an individual thing as well. I don't know if it has enough, because it's hard to tell if it only adds that. Like, does it actually have like a core sound to it, or does it just add that kind of transient top information? But I would have expected to also be able to just have like a music box sound. And let's do lo-fi. Very nice, like an overall control. Again, there's a cog wheel combination icon here. Gives you a lot of control over the lo-fi effect. I don't know if this is an addition compared to... can't remember how much control the Trails library had. This is quite a bit. You have saturation, you have age, which I really like, makes it even, takes the top end off more. A lot of warble. And hiss. It's a lot of hiss. Mechanical noises. Very cool. Then you have, ooh, this is actually super comprehensive compared to certainly what I expected, but even in a bigger context. Speaker modelings, you have 12-inch, small speaker, car radio, ambient, telephone, boombox, portable cassette, and horn. So that's that gives a lot of lo-fi control. This is quite viable, actually. And then you can obviously blend it in. Can't think of what I wanted to do there, but nice. Space. You got room tone. But let's max out the reverb here. And as we do so, let's pull back the limiter. In terms of reverb, you have options between room, hall, convolution, and shimmer. Let's do shimmer. Let's do a big shimmer. I want it very damped and modulated. That's the limiter. Let me pull back this a bit more. Very vibey. Fracture Sounds really does this kind of stuff really, really well. So out of the box, these really cater to this. Obviously, we did an extreme example here. You can do rooms and stuff like that. But often with Celestes, I prefer to go actually really dry and have like a more intimate sound. Obviously, if you're doing something more like more ambient, that's a different story. But without any reverb, I like a good ambience is a pretty much a must in my book. If I am to praise a library's kind of core sound. Really nice how they've captured the... When the Celeste sort of resonates, not sort of, it resonates, there's a bit of like a sympathetic resonance in there. And some of the components in there have this distortion quality. There's a bit of that distortion going. You can hear like a sort of a line of distortion over there in the back, which is super, super nice. I love that as a texture. You can hear the there in the back. Very nice. Yeah, this extended low end is a big, big selling point. It's just great. You know, just because we have a good instrument doesn't mean it can't be better. Having more range is not always a good thing. A lot of instruments do have a range for a reason. Yeah, here it's a really nice combination of things. Let's go into the mics in this situation, because you know, we turned off the reverb. We have had a good bit of ambience there still. I like the sound of the space. It's kind of very sort of intimate, but has this extended sense of presence. So I love this perspective slider here in the bottom. As you can see, as we scroll through close and far positions, it you know, relatively adjusts the mics according to that position. So let's do close. Okay, so here I'm going to pull back in the color to the standard position. Again, here you start getting more of that resonance. If I pull back the color again, the resonance is less obtrusive. Sounds better to me. The downside is the slight kind of rounding and slightly muffled sound. So again, you could use something like Soothe to take this sound and control it. I do still prefer the darkest setting here. Cool. Let's go to the far position all the way. Very nice. I like that, like the sense of space there. Without actually, you know, it sounds like a mic position and not reverb. I don't see how much the color can affect the position here. Yeah, quite a lot. So pretty impressive. Yeah, I do like this darker color. Controls the resonances and just a more pleasant sound for my ear, especially for an instrument that is so, you know, glassy and belly and resonant like this is. Love the soundstage, the imaging here. This was the case with I think Spotlight Piano and also probably Box Factory, but Tom Factory. Not that Box Factory doesn't necessarily have it, I just don't remember. This is what I do remember. Yeah, very, very nice. I'll just go with the mid mic position here alone. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll probably just go for like a close or far sound. I really like the far from the perspective that I would actually, this would be very usable for something that I want to be sort of more ambient and sparse, but have a sense of being in a space rather than just putting a reverb on it. So yeah, that's very, very, very solid. I wonder if I can would this be like a standard mic positioning? Let's go into the atmosphere layers. So I'll actually go through them on their own. So it seems like these ones, this one doesn't have as big of a catalog of atmosphere layers. They've had many of them in the recent releases, but this one seems to have only these three, so it's more of a focused effort on that front. And this one is called Mystic. Very nice. First of all, again, I love some of those sympathetic resonance distortions that are sort of in there. You can hear like almost like a electrified wire is being moved through there. And also some of these combinations have a nice, there's like a thump like low mid resonance there, which really can enhance a sense of like presence and personality there. That's super nice. I wonder if the attack controls probably, yeah, they don't seem to play into the atmosphere layers. Yeah, doesn't seem like they do. What I would love to have like an ADSR control for these layers as well, because that would just make working with them a lot easier. Like if I know the flow of how I'd love the layer to come in and out, that would just make my life a lot easier. Obviously, there's a number of ways in which you can do that otherwise, but would be nice to have that built in here. I don't know if it's possible based on how the architecture of the atmosphere layers work, but you know, would be cool regardless. This one is called Rites. Very nice. So those reverse delays, bit of a, could just be a delay, but could be some granular stuff as well. Obviously very sort of glassy, resonant, nice. Then we have these slight mechanical details moving with that delay or granular stuff. Very cool. Very contemplative. This one is called Lune. This sounds like one of those that could really benefit from a good reverb. Let's do a big hall. So, does the reverb also only work on the raw? Seems like it does. Sounds like it does, which is, again, interesting. I would probably want control over that in terms of the routing, if possible, because they would pair pretty nicely with those. Oh, cool. Yeah, this is kind of like a... It is very Moon-like in its what it's implying. Kind of has that icy, glassy, slightly torn, veiled sound. Very nice. Yeah, the core sounds themselves for the atmosphere layer sound fantastic. Just would probably want more control in terms of how they swoop in and how they fade out. Obviously, this again can be done in the DAW through a number of ways, but still would be additional control on that. Cool. I think this actually covers everything that's here. We also have the atmosphere intensity layer, which I guess we could touch on briefly. So it really amps up the things that are happening there in the effect. So it makes things more active, but it also kind of brightens it up and brings it to the forefront. So that was Mystic. This is Rites. So yeah, more stuff happening and more to the front and a bit brighter. And this is Lune. Or Lune, I don't know. So you can hear the modulation get a bit more intensive there. Cool. I think that about covers it as far as I can tell here. Very nice core sound. Pretty much everything here is, again, super nice, super playable. I love the extended range that makes this so much better, because so often I do feel like I want to have that extra octave or octave and a half, and again here I think we get 2. So that's a lot, and that's fantastic, and super happy that it actually sounds like the instrument and not some kind of pitched monstrosity. So very nicely done. Super playable, very responsive to the changes in my playing in terms of velocity. Very easy to control. I didn't even have to go into this velocity response curve adjustment, because it translates pretty much perfectly, at least on the dope for here. So that's fantastic. But you know, Fracture Sounds libraries are super playable. That's, you know, probably one of the #1 things I love about them, because they're just so expressive and natural. And they just, because of that, it does contribute to the realism a ton. Appreciate the color control, especially on this instrument, because it does get so bright to my taste. Would I ask for more range there? I mean, pretty much out of curiosity, yes. Like, to see how dark you can actually pull this, because this is still sounds very, you know, I wouldn't say conservative to me, but I'd wonder if I can make it darker. Obviously you can EQ stuff, etc., but something to think about. Attack control, that gave us a lot of the first half. Pretty much just controls how aggressive the transients are, which is super nice, again, for a quite aggressive transient instrument. And release just gives you more, you know, stylistic expressiveness there. Lo-fi control, super comprehensive. I would love to see the music box as an actual standalone thing here as well. It would just make this a more comprehensive offering. I understand that it's a layer, because what I get the impression is that they, you know, figured something out, that they can take portions of the sound and kind of accentuate them, and that would make the music box sound. But in terms of, like, you won't get the music box sound out of this as much, because it has the core Celeste sound in there regardless. I mean, you can get pretty close, but it won't be. It will be more like an impression of it rather than the sound. So that one I would love to see. This is more like a control for adding top end transient info in there. So that's nice. Key noise, again, just mostly to me sounds like it controls the release key sound there. A bit more control on that would be nice, but again, in terms of the core sound, I'm not left wanting to add anything more than that, but I can imagine some people wanting to have that control. Reverbs, getting more and more comprehensive, but yeah, they sound good. I tend to do third-party stuff, but you know, sometimes you do discover something that works perfectly within a library, and this certainly gives you a lot of control. I really appreciate the mod and damping controls. They seem to actually do quite a lot, and you know, modulation on reverb is very much to my taste, and the damping as well. So yeah, mic positions work fantastically. I don't tend to really go for the mid position, but I'd probably go close and then use a reverb of my own if I wanted to, or a bit of ambience, or go for the super far mic position just to get that kind of lonely, separated feeling, because it does have a beautiful soundscape and sense of presence, something that you probably can't even get with a reverb. So yeah, super solid offering. If you're looking for Celeste, I can't at least off the top of my head, come up with a better one. And again, that extended range just makes this super competitive because I don't remember that I've ever heard anyone else do that, which is a big deal. But yeah, super good sounding, super playable, super extended range. So if you're in the market for a Celeste, I would certainly check this out, and hopefully this video has demonstrated what that sounds like. If you have this at home or at your studio, let me know what you think, and let me know what you think of this video down in the comments. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Finished.